Welcome to Around the Track, the most exciting 15 minutes in wealth management by Dynasty Financial Partners and hosted by CEO Shirl Penney.
Welcome to another edition of Around the Track, the most exciting 15 minutes in wealth management. I'm your host, Shirl Penney, founder and CEO of Dynasty Financial Partners. And I'm incredibly excited about today's episode Around the Track because I'm joined with a good friend and client, founding partner of Great Diamond Partners in Portland, Maine, Helen Andreoli, who's also an alumni of Bates College, which is the same school that I went to. So Helen, great to see you, and thanks so much for sitting down and having this conversation with me on Around the Track.
Well, thank you, Cheryl, for having me. I really appreciate it. And I'm glad you brought up the Bates first because I was going to definitely mention that connection.
All right, well, we'll get to it. So look, you know the rules, which is actually only one rule on Around the Track, which is we're going to try to do our best job to make our way around the virtual track that's behind me, which is my backyard in Saratoga Springs. That track is a mile around, which is 8 furlongs. I'm going to ask you 8 rapid fire questions, and we're going to do our best to make it around the track together in 15 minutes. So
Perfect.
look, in life and in racing, how you break from the gate matters a lot. So let me give you what I hope is a good softball to get us out of the gate strong. Tell the audience about yourself and your role at Great Diamond.
Great. Thank you. And again, thank you very much for having me. I really appreciate the opportunity. A little bit about myself. Like you, Cheryl, born in Maine, raised in Maine, went to school in Maine. So Maine is in both of our blood, I think, very, very deep. I went to Bates, as you mentioned. After that, I think, which is relevant to what I do now, ran my own business for 8 years in waste management. When I sold that, I got into this industry. So a little bit of a leap from waste management to wealth management, but now 24-year industry veteran. Was at Morgan, was at Merrill, was at UBS, and then with the help of Dynasty, picked up our whole team at UBS and launched as an independent firm. And my most recent role as of, call it the beginning of the year, is as managing partner. So we had a leadership shift here over the last year. So I'm really digging in this year to a new role as managing partner here at Great Diamond.
Yeah, thank you for that. That's really interesting. You started, as an entrepreneur, kind of went, into the employee model first before finding your way back around to more of the entrepreneurial model within wealth management. And perhaps we'll talk a little more about that. I did want to ask you a question for our second question here, Helen, about the name, the story behind the name Great Diamond. What factors influence that decision, and what's the process been for you and your partners now as you look to embody and live and ride for that brand?
So it was a really interesting process. And as you know, as part of the launch, Dynasty is really helpful in helping you do the marketing and come up with a name. And we really spent a lot of time trying to come up with a name that would both evoke a spirit and a connection to the state of Maine. Maine is a really unique and special place. And so people love that Maine connection, but you also want a name that goes beyond the border. And so there are a lot of names in Maine that are very specific, Katahdin, Acadia, those are all names that people really associate with Maine. But Great Diamond is an island in Casco Bay, and it's a very, very beautiful spot. And it's very representative of the beauty of Maine, the rugged coastline, but without kind of having that typical Maine name. And interestingly, as much help as the Dynasty team gave us in coming up with the name, it was my husband, Charlie Trider, was sitting around, and we had friends that had a home on that island, and we just kept going back and forth about the name. And he looked at me and he said, "Why don't you just name it Great Diamond?" And I texted the partners, and instantly everybody gave a thumbs up. And so we're hoping that it does really evoke that main spirit of independence, of the rocky coast, and sort of that Yankee stoicism that kind of keeps us going through the winter and makes us tough and strong.
Yeah, I love that, and it has that regional element to it, staying true to the main roots, but also being able to speak to and connect to people outside of the borders. I know you have clients, obviously a concentration in Maine, but you have clients all over the United States. So clearly, that approach has been working. So drilling down a little bit more in terms of the types of clients that you're working with, right? So you talked about, some of the clients that you're working with in Maine, but are there specific client specialties, right, that the firm focuses on? And what do you think really differentiates Great Diamond Partners versus another firm that an individual might choose to work with?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think, as you know, Maine is very much built on small business. That is what fuels our economy. And so, kind of, we really fell into it when I started with this team at UBS. It was pretty easy to recognize that our client base were all folks that had had a connection or currently had a connection to a small business in Maine. And when I say small, not necessarily talking about the convenience store on the corner. These are manufacturing companies, very, very successful companies that are Maine based, that have Maine values. And we just saw that we had this great connection. And so really all of our clients have a connection to Maine and generally have a connection to a business that was built, developed, and was successful in the state. And for the second part of your question, I think what makes us unique is a couple things. And I think importantly for me in starting my career in this industry was the fact that I had run a business, a successful business for 8 years in this state, that had nothing to do with wealth management. So I had a real understanding of what business owners go through, what they're thinking about, what their concerns are. And I can remember thinking when I started at Morgan Stanley in 2000, they had this whole suite of tools and resources to build a business. And so many people around me were complaining about how hard it was. And I thought, they don't have any idea of what it's like to actually go out and start with no marketing materials, no name behind you, none of that. And so for me, I felt like I was given a gift, to be able to build a business within this structure. And so then I was able to really reach out to fellow business owner clients and speak their language, share their concerns, get to know them, and then bring them on as clients and help them with all those challenges. So I think that's really our strength.
Yeah, I see this all the time when we help a group of advisors launch a business, and in particular with their business owner clients. They just love coming in and seeing the new office and talking about the new brand and the business, because it takes them back to your point about when they started their own business. And there's a level of empathy and understanding and appreciation, right? To be an entrepreneur serving other entrepreneurs. As you said, I think it's a real differentiator. And look, for any of my friends from Maine or in New England that might be watching this, I could not advocate enough. If you're looking for a world-class independent financial advisor, please consider my friends at Great Diamond Partners. I've sent a number of friends, as you know, to you, Helen, and they rave about you and your team. So thanks for taking such great care of our fellow New Englanders and Mainers as we've sent them over. All right, so now I want to pivot because one of the many things that I enjoy when we have a chance to be together is talking about the industry. And I know that you're a student of the industry. So let me ask, I'm going to cheat a little bit here, Helen. I'm going to try to ask you two questions inside of one. If you look out, you pick the time frame, 3 to 5 years. What are you most excited about within our industry? And then reverse it. What are you concerned about?
Sure. So I think what I'm super excited about is that I sense in this next generation of investors coming up, a real sincere realization that smaller doesn't mean less capable. It means that we're flexible. It means we're independent. It means we're personal. It means we're transparent. And I think through our relationship with Schwab and Dynasty, we bring both sides to the table. We've got all the skills, the capabilities, the resources, but we've got the independence, we've got the flexibility. And I think there really is a much greater shift in the market to recognizing how valuable that is, and that the big names are not always working in the best interest of the client. I'm also excited about innovation. I think how we could use artificial intelligence to not to replace our acumen on the investment management or the planning side, but to give us more capacity to do more and to sort of leave some of those tasks and chores that we were doing in support of the business more to the technology to let us get out and see more clients. And I love the idea of being able to cultivate more younger people in our industry. I'm excited about what I've seen when we brought younger people on and the new thought leadership and the acceptance of technology that they have. So I'm trying to allow them that leniency and recognize that I'm a bit of a dinosaur when it comes to that. But I'm excited to see what they're doing and realizing that, I might be at that stage where I reminisce about how much better music was in the '80s than it is now. So trying to lean into the innovation in the younger folks. I think with the challenges that I'm seeing are finding people who fit our culture. We have a bit of a different culture, I think, that is reflective of who we are, but also reflective of the state of Maine. We're a little bit more laid back. We lean into our values a lot. So we're having a challenge to find people here in Maine. I think that's a challenge across the state. We're looking now at different industries, which I find exciting to find people. There are great people in customer service in other industries. I also think there's a change in demographic that concerns me a little bit, just a shifting in, our client age range is a little bit higher than it should be. We need to find a way using these younger folks to get out and find the next set of investors here in Maine. But I'm excited because all of this is going to be fueled by creativity, and that's one of the things I love about this business and being independent. You can be creative and have fun with it.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, there you mentioned, younger, you said younger folks, younger team members, the next generation, referred to the group coming up behind us in a number of different ways there. And look, I find with young professionals, oftentimes what they see is what they'll be. And I know it's something that you're proud of. I mean, you're such a role model in particular for young women that are coming up in the business. I mean, here you are running one of the premier, independent wealth firms, not just in the state of Maine, but in New England. And whether you feel it, I hear it in terms of what kind of inspiration you are. And I know you're always quick to lend a hand or be a mentor and have conversations. So let me just ask you then along the mentoring lines, just reflecting, on your career a bit. Can you think back, was there a pivotal moment in your career that you made a decision one way or the other that resulted in really advancing things for you, Helen?
One pivotal moment comes to mind very quickly. Sitting at Merrill Lynch, getting several calls back to back from the manager at UBS about a recruiting opportunity for me over there, which I ignored. I had just switched firms 4 or 5 years earlier, had said I wasn't going to do it again for a while. And he kept asking me to meet with him. I did, had a really interesting opportunity, but I really wasn't sold. I said, okay, I'll go to the next meeting. Well, the next meeting changed the trajectory of my career. I met with Jay Evans, who was a partner on the team that I ultimately joined. He was getting ready to retire. He wanted to bring a woman onto the team as his predecessor. And I walked out of that meeting with him and had said, now I want this job. I had walked in, thought, it'll be a breakfast. I'll meet somebody. It'll be an interesting time. He really was an inspiration to me from the moment I met him of the kind of advisor I wanted to be, the kind of thoughtful person I wanted to be. So that really changed the trajectory of my career in joining the team. I had been a sole practitioner before that. And then the other one was meeting a woman named Tara Jenkins, who really helped me think about leadership and managing people in a very different way. And I think that really set the stage for me to take on this role that I have now. So those two people were critical in helping me identify my strengths, figure out what I wanted to do, and help build the culture that we have here today.
I love that. Thank you for sharing that perspective. You know, one of the things you said there is the type of person that you want to be, and I know that philanthropy is something that is really important to you personally. And you know, you sit on the board of, or have sat on the board. Maybe tell me if you currently are, of Prosperity Maine and Maine Recovery Fund, and these organizations that are really dedicated, you know, to the foundational success of really those in need. Can you just take a moment, Helen, and elaborate on what these foundations have meant to you personally and professionally, and how do you see like the tangible impact on the community that they serve?
So yeah, that's a great question. And both of those organizations are very, very close to my heart. I was on the board for Prosperity Maine for about 10 years, and I just stepped off. And I am still on the board of what's now the United Recovery Fund. It was the Maine Recovery Fund. They've changed their name in the last year. Both of these organizations work to really give people a second chance. And Prosperity Maine is dedicated to providing financial literacy, resources, and education to the immigrant population here in Maine. And United Recovery Fund has a similar objective, giving dignity and a second chance to folks coming out of the prison system who generally have substance use disorder. And I felt very compelled to work with both of them. I love our industry and I love our clients. I recognized, call it 11 years ago, that I had a set of skills that I thought were really useful to a group that needed them and wanted them, but were also could be very useful to a group who had no access to them. And so I pursued a volunteering at Prosperity Maine. They let me know that nobody at Prosperity Maine would take a class from me because I didn't speak any other any other language than English. So I was asked to join the board, and it's one of the most rewarding things I've ever done. These are folks that are working, who want to buy homes, who want to educate their children, who want to build savings. They want to move forward. And this is a real amazing resource for them to get exactly what they need in order to do that. United Recovery Fund is a bit more basic. These are folks that are just struggling to get back to work. And so they give them a job at Mainworks, which is a for-profit company, getting them jobs in the construction industry. And then United Recovery Fund provides the wraparound resources. We help these folks get their licenses back, get transportation, all the things that we take for granted that help us get to work and keep a job, that are almost insurmountable for some people. It could be as simple as a ride to work and a Hannaford card to get them a meal that keeps them coming back to work and then moves them through to success. And interestingly enough, I renovated a home, and my home was mostly renovated by Mainworks employees.
That's
So
awesome. Yeah, thanks again for sharing that as well. And for someone who still keeps a home in Maine, thank you for taking such great care of our fellow Mainers. I mean, it's amazing the work that you're doing there. All right, we're coming off the turn and we're headed towards the home stretch. So only 2 furlongs left, which means just 2 questions. So, you know, look, I can't believe what I'm about to say, which is September will be 5 years for Gray Diamond since you guys launched. So first of all, congratulations that you're
thank you.
coming up on 5 years. Remarkable that it's gone by so quickly. But as you think through the next 5 years, right? If you think through the growth trajectory, you know, where you want to take the business, whether it's being achieved organically with adding, you know, more clients that really fit the culture of the business, or adding new advisors that also fit the culture to grow inorganically. How do you think about the growth over the next 5 years?
Well, I think that one of the pivotal changes that have happened, as I mentioned, was a change in leadership over the last year. One of the results of that I see with the whole team is a really unified agreement on the messaging and the understanding of who we are, what we value, and what we are bringing to clients. It's very unique, the way that we take care of our clients. And so, in my mind, at this point, the sky's the limit. It's my first role as managing partner has been to figure out how we are no longer the best kept secret in Maine. And it starts in September with our 5-year celebration, a relaunching of our brand, a revisioning of our image, and figuring out how we make sure that everybody in the state of Maine and in New England knows who Great Diamond is. And so I am not only is there a lot of unification around the message and a lot of understanding, there's a lot of excitement. And so when you feel that culture shift to excitement, you just feel like you have all this energy to go out and tell your story to everybody. So I'm excited for that 5-year celebration to really kick off a whole new image and a new decade for Great Diamond.
I am also excited, and I can't wait to be there. It's going to be a great party, a great celebration, and it will be, as you said, the kickoff, to launch the next, the next 5 years in terms of where you all decide to take the business. And it couldn't be more appreciative on behalf of all of our partners at Dynasty to be your partner along the way. All right, we come to the last question. This is the exact same question I ask every guest on Around the Track. Within racing, obviously, the goal that is seemingly unattainable, yet we all wake up every day. If you're an owner in racing, a jockey, a trainer, no matter what part of racing you're in, you want to win at least one of the Triple Crown races, if not to try to win the Triple Crown. And again, even though it seems almost unattainable, it's something that gets you out of bed early in the morning and has you focusing on this big, ambitious goal. So for you, as we conclude this conversation, what would be your Triple Crown?
I think that the Triple Crown for us, the overarching message is marketing, marketing, marketing. And like I said before, getting our name out. So it's hit it out of the park with the 5-year celebration. I know you only gave us a year for this Triple Crown, but I want to see that $1 billion mark. And I want to hire some amazing people. If I can accomplish those 3 things or even get close to that $1 billion mark in the 12 months, I'm going to feel like we hit it out of the park.
That's
Not
awesome.
not to mix sports references there.
No, that's good. That's very well done. I do think you're going to hit out of the park. I think everyone is shortly, if they don't know about Great Diamond, they're going to. You are going to attract incredible talent, and you're going to cross over $1 billion, I think, a lot sooner than even what you think, because you are so focused on doing what's right on behalf of your clients at all times. So thank you so much for sitting down and having this conversation with me today, Helen, on Around the Track.
Thank you, Shirl, and thank you for all the support that you and your team give us. We really enjoy our relationship, and we really appreciate your connection to Maine and the support that you give us. We know that we are important to you, not just because we're from Maine, but because all the firms are important to you. So thank you for that.
Could not have said it better myself. So thank you for that. And thank you again to all of you for tuning in for another edition of Around the Track.